through here because the first one I saw was Name, and Name wanted some tips for a Footjam Tailwhip. And so Name, the first thing I'm going to tell you, obviously, join bike school. But for real, if you're working on, say, Footjam whips, and you give it a couple attempts, like it's so much easier to see what you're doing wrong than just throw stuff at you. You know, like I could tell you, well, make sure you're hopping forward, make sure your foot's going over, make sure you're leaning forward when the bike's going out and pulling it back in when the frame comes around, make sure you're uncompressing and popping up so that your feet go into the pedals. Like all those things I could throw at you, but without seeing what you're actually doing wrong, that's not going to be very helpful. So what I'll do for you is I'll just tell you the most common thing that people have wrong when they're doing Footjam whips. And then if that's your issue, you know, you can kind of adjust it and I can help you fix it. Okay, let's see what I'm going to do. Who's Master of None? Is that Chad? Chad, did you change your name? I can't tell. Is that Chad in the bottom? What's up, David? So Chad, if that's you, I got to shout you out real quick, but I got to make sure it's actually Chad. Name. So what I was going to say is the biggest problem that people have with Footjam whips is like, it's a really cool trick and people try and do it too early. So they go too early and ride flat, right? And then they take off their front foot, swing it over the frame, put it in the tire, and then kick the bike around. And while technically this is a no-footed can, the hardest part when you do it this way is getting your feet back on the pedals, because when you take that front foot off, your cranks, instead of being parallel like this, they're up and down. And so when that Footjam Tailwhip comes around, your front pedal is sticking straight up, and it's damn near impossible to get your foot on that front pedal when it's that way. And so to combat that, like what you need to learn is how to actually hop into it, like ride flat-footed, hop forward, kick the bike out from behind you, swing your foot over and jam the tire. And all this happens like while the bike's whipping around. It's a really complicated trick, but it seems easy for a lot of people because all they do is swing their foot over and put it in that way. Now, I've seen people land it just fine that way. And it's usually more of like, you put your foot over. It's so hard to explain without like having my bike, but you put your foot over, you kick the Footjam around, and when it comes around, you stop it with your back foot and then like swing your back foot over onto the back pedal. And then from there, you can kind of just ride away from it. But imagine how hard that is, catching it with your back foot and swinging your back foot over, because your cranks are up and down. So that's the biggest problem that people have with it. And to work on that, what I would do is cruise flat, your feet flat at a slow speed. And actually, instead of taking the foot off, letting the cranks drop, and then putting your foot in the tire, hop into it. So hop forward, get that back wheel lifted a little bit, and then jam your front foot in the tire. And learning like foot jams that way is going to help you figure out that concept with the Footjam whip. So